everyone, this is Lights Camera Initiative here with our review of White Plume Mountain. That's the adventure we just finished before we move on to Dead in Thay. I'm going to go around the table, I'm going to ask my friends what they liked about the dungeon, what they didn't like about the dungeon, and most importantly of all, what they would change about the dungeon. And we're going to start, and we're going to pull a fast one on you, and we're going to start with Sid. And I'm going to ask, Sid, what was your favorite room in White Plume Mountain?
Well, it was a little shorter than the other dungeons, so not a lot of rooms that we encountered, especially not as much as what was that last one, Aztec Mountain.
Temple.
Legends
Temple
of
Watching.
Hidden Shrine Temple Watching.
Yeah. Probably the steam pillars.
Oh, the geysers?
Yeah, the geyser.
Oh,
geyser.
yeah. Fuck that room.
I like that room.
It's a cool concept. I think it's really cool if they would put a fight in it, but I can also see why they don't put a fight into it, because that might be a little rough. But I think it'd be a really cool fight for like a mid-tier red dragon. That's a cool, maybe if you don't run the adventure, maybe consider a room like that for like a dragon's lair. Or some other, maybe like a powerful fire elemental or Djinn could
Free tea.
The free tea, yeah. What's the type of Djinn, but whatever. So yeah, that's your choice. That's a good choice. Ed, what was your favorite room in White Plume Mountain?
I think I really actually liked the bubble, the bubble room.
The bubble room?
Yeah.
Yeah, bubble room was dope.
Just because of the fucking crab. Yes, that is where we grabbed away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where you fought a giant enemy crab.
The fucking not Cthulhu cultist thing.
The Kraken Priest?
Kraken Priest, yeah.
We're gonna talk a little bit more about the Kraken Priest and other stuff like that later on.
That room, I think, is probably one of my favorites for the dungeon.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. You would have so died if that bubble.
Oh, I'd imagine. That was like almost lava water.
You take 44 damage a turn, and it shoots you out the top of the mountain. A process which says takes multiple minutes, and you take 44 damage a turn every turn for the multiple minutes it takes to shoot you out hundreds of feet into the air. So it makes it very clear that unless the characters can breathe underwater and are immune to fire, they just die. Which is why I was like, Jesus Christ. And they're like, yes, make sure your players are very, very aware that if they pop the bubble, bad things will happen to them. And I was like, well, that's good advice.
And one turn's like 6 seconds, right? One turn is like 6 seconds?
Yeah, cool, because it has to suck you in and then it shoots you out the top. It's pretty brutal.
I wish it was a fucking level 17 forge clear.
Yeah.
I think if we were level 17 into anything, that dungeon would not have been a dungeon.
That's true, you could have just teleported in and grabbed that.
No, I'm saying they have
They're made of fire.
They're moving fire. I just
What good is it in fire now? You could just get items. Anyway, that is a good answer. Rob, what was your favorite room?
I missed a fair set of the dungeon, probably because it was so short. So, I liked the room with the sphinxes because the sphinxes were there.
With the Geno sphinxes.
Yeah, but I wouldn't care for the room if they weren't in it though. So I don't know if you want.
But you like the encounter in the room? No, that's fair. That's fair. Riddle sphinxes are that's always a cool encounter. And I agree. Caitlin, what was your favorite room?
The hallway where I was victorious for not wearing metal.
Yeah, the microwave room. That's
Haha, everyone else.
MGS4.
Druid.
God damn, I remember.
Yeah, that room is pretty nasty. I remember looking at it and being like, this is kind of fucked. So you just take a bunch of damage unless you take your armor off. And if you do take your armor off, you get ambushed by ghouls at the end. Like that. That sucks. Ghouls paralyzed. Your armor class is going to be way
Oh, they were ghouls, not zombies.
Yeah. You killed them before they had a chance to do anything, but they were ghouls. So if they hit you, they would have paralyzed. That's a good choice. I agree. Jeff, what was your favorite room?
The room where before they die, go wee. The fucking river.
Oh.
I forgot about
That
that.
was fantastic.
With not Robin Hood.
Yeah. That one.
Yeah, that's good. You guys got to use the environmental effect to your advantage, which I thought was a pretty cool way to chew through a fight that would have taken a while normally, because they were all big hit point tanks with lots of armor. So using the environment certainly helped. And I agree as well, though I don't think I've ever said, no, that room sucks, why are you saying that? But, David, what was your favorite room?
My favorite room was the bubble room, but for sake of the review, I'm going to throw out a shout out to the room with the werewolf and the mage, mainly because of the encounter that's in there, so not
Werewolf was the mage.
really.
Yeah.
There was a mage werewolf, and there was a normal dude. I still know the room that you're saying.
We killed the dude and then...
That room's
Mage.
the worst. It can blow me.
Okay, well, fair
My
enough.
selection for favorite room is, I'm going to say, like, the entryway where you kind of got to get in before, like, you get blasted, because that's, like, a neat element.
I didn't know you were actually switching it, but okay. The entryway is cool. I like that you have to run to not get blasted by superheated steam. I like how it's called the Wizard's Mouth because it sounds like it's breathing. I think that's really cool and flavorful.
Yeah.
I wish there was a skill challenge involved in it, other than just as long as they wait and run, they're fine. And, like, it feels a little weak, but I didn't want to buff it because I didn't think about it, to be honest. It's a cool room. What? My personal favorite room out of all the rooms is the room with the illusory wall. Now, most of that room is trash.
Fuck that room.
I don't like that room. But I love that the disease on the spikes is called super tetanus. That is so campy and ridiculous. Yeah, it's called super tetanus. And it's,
For real?
Yes. Yes, I can find it in the book where it says
Not just
super tetanus.
any tetanus.
It's advanced tetanus. It does damage per turn until cured. And it doesn't wear off on its own. So if you don't have someone with removes disease, your body just until you die.
Good thing I went face first into it.
Yeah. And then Emerald made their save. Although I think Emerald has removed disease prepared, but
Lesser restoration.
lesser restoration. So yeah, it wouldn't have been that bad for you guys, but for an unprepared party, that is a horrible way to die. And the name of Super Tetanus is really funny to me. And you can definitely tell it's a campy, old school style adventure that's been modified because of silly names like that. Old school D&D modules were ridiculous. One of the earliest D&D modules has the player group finding a device basically that time travels them up to the modern day, where the dungeon is a subway system where they have to fight gangs, but they don't know what's going on because it's like modern day New York. Old D&D was full of campy bullshit like that.
How can the
So
kids
super-
fight them?
Sounds fun.
They have guns.
Oh.
Gun.
I imagine it's not that much of a fight, unless the party's full level.
I think they're like level 3 or 4. But remember, this was 2nd edition, where shit is like really dangerous.
Oh. Right, okay.
I doubt gangs.
A wizard's not gonna have more than 10 hit points till like 3rd level. Back in 2nd edition, so one gunshot could kill them.
Oh, they're level, so...
Anyway, I thought it was a cool throwback to old campy adventure styles because White Plume Mountain is an old campy style adventure. Now, I'm going to switch it up. I asked a question that's pretty specific to White Plume Mountain, but I think one that needs to be said. Instead of asking people's favorite NPC, and obviously there needs to be a little bit of overlap with that because of limited choices, but I'm going to ask you, between the 3, which is best, Wave, Whelm, or Black Razor? Who left the best impression on you? Who do you like the most? Who was the coolest? I can go
I
back
want to say Whelm.
Oh, calling on people.
Well, I was gonna go in circle.
I want to say Whelm because he definitely he has the most not out there personality, just the loudest personality. So it's kind of hard not to acknowledge him, but at the same time, it's not like annoying.
He's very dwarven.
Yeah, I love his how dwarven he is.
Fair enough. Ed, best weapon.
Damn. See, I was gonna say the same thing, but
There's only 3.
Yeah, there's only 3. Yeah, 6 people. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd have to go with Rome, just basically for the kind of sake of the same thing. I mean, yeah, it's he's not talking to everyone when he's talking to Jeff, so yeah, it's probably not as noticeable in character, but out of character, it's definitely one of them.
Leaves an impression.
Definitely.
Rob?
I would say Whelm as well, but because they already said it, I'll say Black Razor, because Black Razor, the reason I say Black Razor is second best is because in the adventure, when Jeff missed with Whelm, he was like, why'd you give my brother to someone so weird? Because he talked shit, he moved up. Okay.
Well, he just wants his brother to be wielded well.
Mm.
Caitlin?
I like Wave.
Aye.
Because Wave likes to sing and he's having fun like that.
Yeah. I agree. Wave has a lot of... Is low key, but he has a lot of personality.
Yeah.
I think he sings. That is...
He's like watching the calm surface of the water, and underneath there's horrible, terrible things like anglerfish.
That's true. Jeff?
That's way deep.
He's very deep.
Well, to be honest, I like them all, but obviously,
Oh, because
even though it's wasted
We're
on
going to
me,
say Whelm too.
even though it's wasted on me.
It's not
It's not wasted on
Well,
you.
it's not completely wasted, but it's better on something else like Sid. Or,
You get Divine Strike,
I mean-
though. Right?
Anyway,
whereas
so you
David-
like Whelm the most?
Yeah, well, actually, now it's kind of hard because I like the singing. Even the fucking world hates.
You do like trolls.
I don't know.
It's not just because of the trolls. It's
So
because
you like
singing
Wave and
is
Whelm
cool.
equally?
You saw Jaws, right? Remember the song? That song was fucking cool. Yeah. Yeah.
They actually do too. They do that one, which is right for Jaws attacks, but they also do Spanish Ladies.
Huh.
Which was actually the one I was originally going to have Wave sing, but I couldn't remember all the lyrics by the time the session came around, so I was like, I'm just going to switch to the other one. Spoiler alert. David, best one.
I'd say Black Razor. Like, I hate to be the person that goes, it's cool because it has a cost and it's not friendly, but that just does something for me in this instance. It also helps that I've never heard of Whelm or Wave, but I've heard of Black Razor, which also adds further weight
Yeah, it's definitely
to the
most
weapon
famous.
itself, and afterwards, there's upkeep for me. There's not upkeep for the other people. They just have to, like, be friends and skip. But this thing requires me to meet things in battle. And even though you can technically lame it out, spoiler, I'm not going to.
Fair enough.
Kind of make them sound like bitch weapons. Did you put it that way? The
This
other
is
two,
yes.
not Black Razor. That the other two sound like bitch.
Anyway, so now this other one is an either or choice, so there's going to be a bit of overlap. But for 2 of the fights, I went on Twitter and got extra assistance for them, adding stuff from Volo's Guide to Monsters and Mordecai's Tome of Foes in order to make it a little better. The first of which is the fight with Centimere, the vampire, in which the 2 added death kisses, the vampire beholders, were a suggestion from one of the people who follow us on Twitter. And then the fight in the bubble, I got like 4 different people suggest me, and I kind of took from all of it. That's where the Kraken Priest and the Abishai showed up, and the Quipper Swarm got turned into a bubble beam attack. Between those 2, which would you prefer?
The bubble room and the what again?
Vampire fight. Of the 2 enhanced fights, which did you like more?
I'm trying to remember the vampire fight.
Remember there were the 2 vampire beholders?
Thank you, that answer.
Does that answer your question if you
Yes.
don't even remember it?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah, the bubble fight, because I can't really remember the other one.
Okay. Ed?
It is quite annoying coming across them as a player, but functioning wise, I kind of do like the death kisses in that they actually have a lot of mechanics in them for something that's, in all honesty, kind of a simple creature.
Yeah.
Like everything it does grapples, and its grapples has an additional effect instead of just being a grapple.
Yeah, it opens up an attack.
Yeah, which is nice.
And they have a lightning blood counter, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're cool enemies. Rob.
I was only there for the death kiss fight, so my vote by default goes to the death kisses and the vampire.
Okay. Galen?
I
Same
really
boat.
liked the bubble fight because I was there,
Fair enough.
but I also thought the Kraken Priest was super cool.
I thought so too. Jeff.
Oh, fuck. I like the enemies, the Kraken Priestess, the
Oh wait, yeah. They were the. Hey, sorry.
the Kraken Priestess, and what else was there? The
Abishai.
Black
Their
Yeah.
dragon demons.
yes, those ones.
Oh,
Yeah,
those
those.
Is it just supposed to be a giant crab?
Yeah, it's just a giant crab.
Also the
Oh yeah, the crab. I liked him.
That's the part that was already in there. I wanted to soup up the
Yeah.
giant crab.
It seems like
Also the
seems like giant
danger.
crab wouldn't be enough.
The danger of the room
So
itself
you guys are
too,
pretty strong. and-
because if
Wow.
you break the bubble, everyone
Yes.
basically dies.
Yeah. But no, one of the suggestions I got was use things that work off of not being able to see, or off of magic darkness, because the crab has blind sense. And I was like, you're right. And they're like, use Abishai. They not only can cast darkness, but they can see in magical
Yeah, that
darkness.
was annoying.
Yeah, so... And then in order to keep you in the magical darkness, the Kraken Priest would cast Edward's Black Tentacles, but dispel magic to care all that, so, whatever. David, what would you say was your favorite between the two rooms?
Between the two, I'd say the bubble fight. There's more enemies and more variants in the enemies, which I think really lends to it. Not to mention, Aqua theme is probably just a little more memorable play-wise, as opposed to a room with a vampire and two fitting ads, but it's not quite as flavorful as the other bits. That would be why the bubble's my pick.
The room was originally dark, though. Like, you couldn't see it originally. Someone ruined
But that's still
Not
two
ruined,
types of
someone-
monsters. In the bubble, we have a unique arena and like 3-4 types of monsters, which I think really helps.
Well, I was able to fit more in that second room because it was a bigger area. The first room is really small, which I guess makes sense if you're just fighting a vampire, but...
Not all of us could fit in there.
Oh, yeah. No, you couldn't. Anyway. Next question. What room did you, instead of doing least favorite room, let's instead just go to... Sid, if you could change anything about White Plume Mountain. And it's fine to say nothing. You don't have to have something you would change. Or add.
I mean, I could be greedy and say either more and or better artifacts. But what I want that's if I were to be greedy. But I think I'm just gonna go with a longer dungeon. Just if I know it's like it'd be difficult to add more to it. Like
I disagree. If you put in, especially if you're letting the players keep it, because the book does suggest that they're retrieving the weapons for someone and that they're not supposed to keep it, but I think that is lame. So I let them keep it. If you're in a 4-person group, add a 4th item so that everyone gets something and just make the dungeon longer that way. Just add another wing with another cool fight at the end of it. So I agree.
it's either that or add more human type enemies, people that are also here for the challenge of the mountain. I just thought that was a little disappointing that we happened to be the only ones there, and one of them and the only human group were just kind of there running away from people. Right.
Running away from the law.
Yeah.
Ed.
I know we only really talked about it mostly off camera, but in all honesty, the fucking wizard's room, the one that the golem warned us, do not go in that room.
What would you do with it?
Fucking get rid of it.
That's
gone.
okay.
Just
Yeah, I think it is a little weird that they're like, there's the evil wizard's room, and if you go there, you die. Just remove it. Otherwise, the players are going to want to go there. And if you're the kind of DM who's like, hey, it'll be funny if I give them the chance to get themselves killed, and they do it. If you're that kind of DM, whatever. But if you're not, just remove it all altogether. I think it's a little dumb. Or fucking at least put stuff in the room, because they basically say if they enter, they die. So it's like, what, it's Kane from fucking White Wolf? They don't give him a stat block, just you lose? Okay, that's fair.
No stat block, no saves, no nothing. You just lose.
Well, if you give saves and stat blocks, then you can beat it.
Anyway, Rob, is there anything you would change about the dungeon?
Just give the guy a stat block, I guess. Because even if he's too strong for you to beat, having a stat block makes it so if you try to run away, you at least have a chance. I mean, technically, he's like a high level wizard. He could probably just teleport in front of you and murder you anyway. But if he has a stat block,
right, you can at least
have
figure
a
something
chance.
out. Or just say, hey, he uses the Archmage stat block. Like, do something.
Yeah.
Caitlin, any changes?
Definitely the wizard room thing. Like, damn, hang a sign up that says, like, out to lunch or something. Just remove the temptation to go in there.
That's fair.
People
I
are gonna
agree.
be tempted.
I think a lot of people are in agreement about this, but let's ask Jeff. Do you have anything you would add?
Not really. Other than I'm in agreement with. I think 4 for 4. If not,
Okay. Fair enough. David?
I'm gonna say fine as is.
Okay. That's fair. I think the dungeon is mostly fine as well. I would definitely, unless you're really worried about game balance, the dungeon says you're not supposed to give your players the weapons, but just do it. If they're gonna feel cheated if they go through all this stuff and then don't get to keep the awesome gear that they got. It just feels shitty. And just remove the ability to go to the room to the indoctrination chamber, because certain types of players are going to be tempted to go and then mad when their character is turned into a fucking thrall. Yes?
I do also want to throw in, it seems a little weird to give these magical weapons stats and all these lists of abilities if the intention is to not have the players keep them.
Well, I think it's so that you can use them while you're in the dungeon and then give them back after.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a
That
thing.
being
That was
said,
originally planned that
Actually,
way.
I changed my mind. Chuck the wizard room.
Okay. Fair enough. We're all in agreement. Check the wizard room. It's just a trap.
But yeah, when you explained the mountain, I expected to find other adventuring parties in there to fight over said artifacts.
It doesn't. I mean, that's something else you could add to a rival
That'd be
adventuring party. A fight with a rival adventuring party is always really
Beat
classic.
each other to the artifacts, kill each other over the artifacts if they have one that you want.
Sounds cool.
Get some Uncharted in there.
Yeah, belongs in a museum.
That is not Uncharted. What?
No, I'm just saying, like,
Oh.
there could be someone in there like that.
Anyway.
Any amount of adventuring
Yeah,
groups.
some Indiana Jones. Alright, so yeah, that was us. That was our review. Stick around next week for when we start the first session of Dead in Fae. I've been Mario Vilas, your illustrious Dungeon Master. You can find more of me at Lights Camera Initiative on Twitter, where I speak for some people some of the time. Additionally, you can find me on Thursdays on the Tainted Lands channel playing Luca Duelar. Just your average guy. And, yeah. If you haven't seen it already, go back. Go to 8-Bit Gaming's stream, or Chromatic Chimera's Twitch. Check out the VOD of our Whose Role Is It Anyway thing we did. It was really funny and awesome. And check it out. David, where can people find you? And is there anything you want to plug?
I'm artist David Harper on Instagram, Twitter. There's a Patreon under my name for an animated project I'm doing. And I also have a coffee if you're interested in my art at all. And that's about it for me.
Caitlin, where can people find you? Is there anything you want to plug?
You can find me at Gobbitses on Twitter, and you should keep an eye out because I might be running a Digimon game soon.
Cool. Is there anything anyone else wants to plug? And none of the rest of you have social media, but any plugs? Any plugs? No?
Nah.
Alright, cool. Yeah. David, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Jeff, say goodbye.
Bye.
Caitlin, say goodbye.
Bye.
Rob, say goodbye.
But
It's so hot in here. Ed, say goodbye.
See?
My brain is melting. Sid, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye!